This is my effort to answer questions and share with you some of the things that are going on here at the Capitol and some of the questions that we're hearing, making sure that you get the answers. The question I've heard a lot lately is Speaker Hughes going to have media availability? I am going to be available to the media. I'm going to be available to you. What we're doing, we have a crack communications team. We're going to be online, social media, blogs, video, but we're also going to have interviews and opportunities for the media to sit down on the phone or on the fly and answer questions and provide important information during the session. It's a busy session. It's like a raging rapids. I can tell you the direction we're going, but the twists and turns always change. We're going to do this on the fly. We're going to work very hard, but we have stepped up our game to make sure that we are communicating better to the public than we did even last year. So don't believe the hype. We're going to be communicating more and I think more effectively this session than ever before. Second issue I'm hearing a lot about, medical marijuana. What are we going to do? First, as the speaker, let me give you the color commentary. I believe there's been a lot of attention paid to this issue. We've had a lot of advocates here at the Capitol talking about how marijuana is medicinal for them and relieves pain, or I've heard it's even anti-seizure medicine for some. So there's a lot of attention on this issue of medical marijuana. And so are there bills? Yes, there are. Do they do different things? I think you'll see a bill out there that would make it more available to more people. There's other bills that would try to carefully measure what would be used by way of medical marijuana. So I do think that you're going to hear a lot about that issue in the coming days and weeks ahead. On a personal note, I'm just going to say that I don't understand the issue entirely because I'm not a medical professional. It's hard for me as a lawmaker in a political body to weigh in on matters of what is a seizure, what qualifies as a seizure medicine, what is medicinal and what is not. It's a political body, and typically the issues that we grapple with here are on the policy or public policy. There's an infrastructure for what is considered medicine, clinical trials, how medicine is prescribed and available to the public, the safety measures involved. It is an area of which I know nothing about. And so it's a very hard issue for me to weigh in on whether marijuana is in fact medicinal, when it should be appropriately used, and how available it ought to be. I just simply don't know. So we're going to have a robust debate about this, and we'll see where that debate takes us. In my opening speech, we talked about education funding, and about technology in our schools. See, here's the deal. You see this? You see this phone? You see this tablet right here? Okay? I am what you call a technology immigrant, maybe even a technology refugee. I was born in a world that didn't have any of this technology, and I've had to understand it and begin to use it so that it would improve my efficiency and improve my quality of life, and I do it to a great extent. Our children are what we would call technology natives. They have been born in a world that has always had technology in it. But yet when you go into our public schools, you will find in most cases that the utilization of technology is not there. How can we as adults enjoy all the advantages of technology in 2016 and yet in our public schools see that they are behind and that they don't have the same access to technology? This is an effort that started years ago with the late Speaker Becky Lockhart, where she wanted to see technology and the utilization of technology within our schools to make our teachers' job easier, more effective, more efficient, to help individualize the educational experience for each student. We can do that now. So she began this a number of years ago, and I believe that there's a bill sponsored by Representative John Notwell and working with our state school board and other educational stakeholders to finally move the needle on this and see a way forward to see technology and all the advantages it brings available to our kids, our students, and improving their educational experiences. So watch that bill. That's an important bill, and it's one that's been years in the making. Let me quickly say I'm a city boy. Public lands, rural lands has not been an area of public policy that I've known a lot about. I've trusted our rural lawmakers on this issue, but as Speaker, you have to be up to speed on every issue. So as I've looked at this public lands issue, I have concluded that this is not a frivolous issue. This is not a great partisan speech talking point. This is an incredibly important issue where this state, like 38 states east of Denver, have managed their lands as a state They were disposed of by the federal government, and those states have prospered because of it. When you get west of Denver, 12 states in this country are over 50% controlled by the federal government, and in Utah, it's over 65%. If you go east of Denver, it's only 5%. What does that mean? Those lands in the east, they have property tax. They generate revenue that funds public education in those states. In a state where we have more children per taxpayer, we have very little land to manage and to fund our schools. Our federal government, they attempt to manage these western lands from afar. There is nothing in public policy that will tell you that someone that far away will ever manage anything as good as the local jurisdictions that are right there on the ground at the same place. We can show stats that if you care about the environment, if you want to be good stewards of the environment, those governments, the state government, counties, cities, those that are closest to the people and to these very lands have been verifiably more responsible in managing those lands than our federal government back there in Washington, D.C. So if you care about the environment, you should care about this issue. I'll tell you, if you care about fundamental principles of freedom and equality, our access to the federal government, how a state grows in population, we suffer from a strange gerrymandering when our state can't grow in population because it's artificially inhibited by federal lands that you can't walk on, you can't build a road across, you can't put fiber and technology infrastructure across it. You are limited, and that limits your access to the House of Representatives, decided by population. It limits our access to the federal government. We're a state like every other state, and we should be treated that way. And if we were, you would see our schools funded in a much better way. You'd see the environment managed and responsibly taken care of in a way we all want. You would see this state, its citizens, and its fundamental freedoms protected, and our access to our federal process equal to those east of Denver if we get this right. This does not have to be a partisan issue. Governor Matheson, a Democrat governor in 1980, declared he was a sagebrush rebel with Ronald Reagan, who was in 1980 running for the presidency. This wasn't a partisan issue, and it doesn't have to be. We all, Republicans, Democrats, can agree that the things that we manage as a state, we can do far better than a faraway Washington, D.C. bureaucracy. One of the issues that I brought up in the first day during my speech is water infrastructure. We are a desert state, but from the days the pioneers arrived here in this valley and they took City Creek and they diverted it to flood the fields and to grow crops, knowing that populations were coming to the state of Utah, and they were preparing for that. This state's history, starting from those pioneers, has never slowed down. We are a state that continues to grow, and we're seeing people from across this country and literally from around the world converge to the state of Utah. We could not see that kind of growth without the water infrastructure that we have in place right now. 80% of the water in Salt Lake County comes from outside the county. That was begun, that vision occurred 60, 70 years ago. As we continue to grow, we now have an aging infrastructure for our water systems. We don't have a federal government that's participating in the financing of the building of reservoirs, the water infrastructure, or even the maintaining of the aging infrastructure. And the sad part is, or the challenging part is, the state of Utah can't take that burden on that the federal government used to be the player or the participant in. So we have to work together with water districts. We have to work together with stakeholders in this issue and make sure we have the water in this state to accommodate the growth that's coming. We would do ourselves a great disservice if we just said, no more people allowed in this state, no more growth of this economy. No one's allowed to come because we just can't get this water infrastructure to you. It's aging. We can't afford to fix it. It would be contrary to everything this state has been about, again, since the pioneers first arrived. So water is a critical issue, whether you live in an urban area, a suburban area, or a rural area. It is a Utah issue that we've got to start planning and being partners with our water districts, and we've got to get this right.